I think being okay with process, being okay with not being the best at what you do currently, and
Okay.
being willing to be okay with that, look in the mirror and say, I'm not the best at what I do right now, but I'm not going to allow me not being the best right now to stop me from putting the work in to get to where I ultimately want to be. And I think what I see nowadays is a lot of kids are not even willing to participate in extracurriculars and youth sports because they get out on the field or on the court and they're looking around, and sometimes they're not the best. And so being okay with the process and being willing to put the work in, making those daily deposits, and just understanding that anything in life, this is aside from sports, anything in life that
Yeah.
you
I
want
love
to
that. You're right. You're right.
you want to succeed at, it's probably going to come with a cost. When
Yeah.
it doesn't come with a cost, sometimes it doesn't last as long and it's not as rewarding.
Too many people want outcomes without becoming the person those outcomes require. Time out. Time out. Let me ask you this. What if the gap between where you are today and where you want to be isn't talent? It's how you're training when no one's watching. That's what this studio podcast is all about. We don't chase motivation. We don't hype potential. We build identity through habits, standards, and systems. This is where student athletes, parents, coaches, and leaders come to sharpen how they think, prepare, and perform. I'm Coach Randy, and this is the Built Different Studio Podcast. What's up, family? Coach Randy here with the Built Different Studio Podcast, where we don't just talk about success, we train it. Mindset, systems, habits. This is where champions in sports, school, and life are made. Let's lock in and let's build. Here's the truth most people miss. Games don't usually expose your talent first. They expose your habits. And isn't it interesting how you can easily tell who's really prepared by how they handle the little things when the pressure hits? Family, today we've got a leader in the studio who understands that winning is never random. Coach Mel Abrams is a head basketball coach who leads with discipline, execution, trust, accountability, integrity, leadership, and sacrifice. And that kind of foundation doesn't just build better teams, it builds stronger people. What I respect most about Coach Mel is this. His leadership isn't borrowed. It's built from the principles of his parents, built from his experience as a player, built from the living what he now asks young men to carry every single day. And every time where too many people want results without structure, Coach Mel brings something different. Clarity, standards, and substance. He understands that if you want confidence, direction, and real progress, you need a system, you need habits, you need accountability you can actually live. So today, we're talking leadership, we're talking culture, we're talking why the details matter more than you think. Family, help me welcome Coach Mel Abrams. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Man, I don't know. That's a great intro, Coach. I appreciate it very.
Oh, man, we're excited to have you, Coach Mel. And before we dive in, I want to start with you. Not your resume, not the record, you. For everyone listening, tell us who you are, your story, your roots, and the moments that built you, because every champion has a beginning, and I want to hear yours.
Yes, sir. Well, I am a former athlete. I grew up in the deep south of Alabama, Mobile, Alabama, to be exact.
Okay.
I'm the oldest of three. And if you know anything about Alabama, Alabama is primarily football country. So I grew up
Football, of course.
As a youngster in my early childhood years playing football. I was a pretty good football player. As we transitioned to high school, my family moved to Cobb County, Georgia, where I graduated and went to high school at Pebblebrook High School. Played my last 2 years of high school basketball. And
wow, okay.
Was fortunate enough to go on and play in college for 4 years at a HBCU. Johnson C. Smith University.
Nice. So you played at the next level.
I played at the next level and then played overseas for 7 years in various countries. And so what I do today is a reflection of all the things you mentioned, whether it was parents' upbringing, my college coach, and getting into coaching, understanding that it was a vehicle and a tool to help prepare young people for life. And so when I entered into coaching, it was with that in mind.
Okay. So where do you coach now?
I'm currently the head boys varsity basketball coach at St. Andrew's School in Savannah, Georgia.
Okay.
I just finished year 11. And so next school year, I will be going into my 12th year.
Amazing.
Prior to coming here, I kind of cut my teeth as a coach in the grassroots level in Charlotte. I coached AAU for 6 years.
Nice.
And so I was kind of doing that while I was also playing abroad. And so in the spring and summer.
Wow, that's a big task to do. So
Yes,
you
sir.
played, what country did you play? What country did you play in professionally?
Played in Israel. I played 2 years in Lithuania, Bulgaria, and Croatia, and Venezuela. And if you know anything about
that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yes,
Coach,
sir.
I mean, our listeners and our athletes, our student athletes, they don't know how difficult it is to, one, make it to the next level. I think it's sub 7-8% that go on to play. And then professionally as well, and the experience that you have there. Coach, when you say you're built different through discipline, execution, trust, accountability, integrity, leadership, and sacrifice, which one of those was forged first in you? And how did that become the standard you now demand from your program?
Wow. Two that stand out to me would be discipline and sacrifice.
Okay.
I think they kind of go hand in hand in terms of what influenced me. Coach Randy, it's real life experiences seeing my parents
Love that.
life and how they manage being a young couple with 3 kids and watching how they navigated being able to just work hard. And one in particular situation that I think is imprinted in my brain and that it's kind of lived through how I live life and who I am as a former player and coach. I was out in the backyard playing with my dad one day, and my dad was a former athlete in high school, good athlete. I'm single digit age. I'm probably 9 years old.
Okay.
And he would just kick my butt in the backyard, man, blocking my shot and all of those things. And I remember my mom, who could see out in the kitchen window, she came out and she said, "Hey, why don't you let him win sometimes?" And his response to my mom was, he needs to learn how to figure it out. No one's going to ever give him anything. He's going to have to figure out how to step up and earn it. And that, I think, bred the work ethic that I still have today, where if you're going to get it, you got to put the work in and go get it.
I love that because you can hear that your standard didn't start in a locker room. It started in who you became first. You know, just like your dad said, figure it out and earn it. I want all our listeners to really pay close attention to that. And once a coach knows who he is through discipline, hard work, you talked about your family experience. The next question becomes how he responds when that identity gets tested. Coach, every leader gets tested. What's one moment in your journey as a player or as a coach where your discipline and integrity were challenged and you had to decide whether you were going to bend to pressure or lead through it?
I have several. I think the one that I would like to highlight today would be when I initially came to the school I'm at now, St. Andrews, which was back in 2015. We're a small independent private school with about 160, 170 from year to year, high school students. And I remember coming at the time and had a vision for the program. And I said, listen, I want this basketball program to be one of the best in Savannah that's well respected, but also a team that could compete against your bigger schools, your bigger public schools in the area, and compete and give ourselves a chance and not be embarrassed by being able to put them on the schedule. And when I made that announcement in 2015, people thought I was crazy, thought I had lost my mind.
Playing the big dogs, right?
And so just kind of transitioning from that previous mentality and thought process to where we are now, it took some challenges, but I believe that through hard work, connecting with your players, having players share the same desire to work every day and put the work in with the details and building good habits, that we could get it accomplished. And over the course of that 11-year journey, we've been able to do that. I think initially early on when we were looking to build a program where we are, there were some challenges around getting people to believe in the vision.
All right, let's pause right here for a second. I want to ask you something. If nothing changed over the next 6 to 12 months, would your student athlete be more confident, more prepared, closer to their goals, or still hoping things just work out? That's exactly why Athletic Connect is the primary sponsor of this show, because the difference we see, it's not talent, it's structure, it's mindset, it's having a real system. Inside Athletic Connect, we help student athletes build confidence, discipline, and a clear plan from daily habits to performance to creating a digital identity that actually gets noticed by colleges. And this isn't just basketball. This is for student athletes in every sport who are serious about their future in the classroom, on the court, on the field. So here's the move. Go check out athleticconnect.com and see how we're helping athletes become built different in sport, in school, and in life. All right, let's get back to the show. Sure. Now that's powerful because adversity has a way of revealing whether our values are real or just convenient. And since you've lived both sides of the game, that makes me think about the habits and structure young athletes need if they want to grow the right way. You talked about your message is that details, D.E.T.A.I.L.S, matter.
Yes, sir.
For the athlete listening right now who wants to earn trust, grow in confidence, and separate from the crowd, what are the daily details they need to lock into mentally, academically, athletically, if they really want to level up?
We also, in addition to details matter, we have a motto that we says nothing just happens.
Love that. Okay.
And so for me as a believer, one of the things I like to say, as long as the earth remains, seed time and harvest will never cease. So whatever you plant and put in the ground, you will reap a harvest. We often say whatever you deposit in the bank, that's the only thing that you can go and get a withdrawal on. And so what are you depositing every day? Build good habits. You will hear us constantly saying that in practice. Build good habits. Nothing just happens. And so it is everyday reminders that if you want to be good or great or elite, there's a price that has to be paid. And if you're not where you need to be, that didn't just happen either. That means you're ignoring what is necessary to get to where you're trying to get to. And so our players know that the results are ultimately from what you're doing or not doing.
And that's incredible. Nothing just happens. Build good habits. That right there is gold. Because a lot of athletes want the spotlight without respecting the process that earns it. And when you start talking about process like that, it usually points back to the people and principles that shaped how you see leadership in the first place. You mentioned the principles of your parents and your previous experiences as a player help define who you are and how you lead. What did they plant in you early that still shows up in the way you build culture? I know you talked about your experience with your dad, but I want to understand, what did they teach you about culture, about holding players accountable and teaching young men how to carry themselves?
Yeah, I would say at the foundation of who I am, my parents has a lot to do with that. The work ethic, showing up every day, and you may not be the most talented, you may not be the person that's the most athletic, but you can show up and outwork.
I love that. Okay.
And so every day I show up and I want to, and I even tell my players this, you're not going to work harder than I am. So match my work ethic. And so I would say from my parents, the work ethic, my college coach was huge in probably me taking the path that I took with coaching and education. I learned through him that coaching was an extension of the classroom, even at the collegiate level. Oftentimes at the beginning of games, at the beginning of practices, in the circle, before practice, in the circle, after practice, those conversations around were parallel to how the game was a reflection of who you were as people.
Love that.
And how who you were individually said a lot to him as a coach about who you were. And so I quickly learned through him that you could use this game to help shape people. And so I would say the work ethic, and then using the game to help build people and to help them become the best version of themselves. Those two, my parents and my college coach, I think were huge influences.
Yeah. Well, I want to, what was your college coach's name? What's his name?
Steve Joyner. Stephen Joyner
Is
Sr.
he still coaching today?
He retired. Last year was his previous basketball season was his first year not coaching. He spent 30 plus years at the university
Wow.
on the women and men's side. I think he won over the games. He's a legend when you look into HBCUs and the CIAA, which is a historically legendary conference. Earl to Pearl, Monday.
Okay.
All of those guys. Yeah. So do your research.
Yeah. I love that phrase also of show up and outwork. You can feel that legacy in how you speak. Your former coach and your parents, you mentioned them multiple times. That kind of leadership has roots, and roots matter. So let me take that one step further, because when a coach leads from principle, he also starts seeing clearly what his next generation of student athletes are missing. So when you look at the next generation of student athletes, what's the one mindset shift you believe would change everything for them, not just in basketball, but in life, if they truly understood the details, discipline, and accountability are what create freedom, trust, and opportunity? What is that one mind shift our student athletes need to change today?
I think we live in a day and time where everything is quickly, readily, and available.
Okay.
You know, I'm a 70s baby, and so I remember when you used to use the oven to cook your food, right? And it's something about that process of just having it baked and taking time. And I think being okay with process, being okay with not being the best at what you do currently, and being willing to be okay with that, look in the mirror and say, I'm not the best at what I do right now, but I'm not going to allow me not being the best right now to stop me from putting the work in to get to where I ultimately want to be. And I think what I see nowadays is a lot of kids are not even willing to participate in extracurriculars and youth sports because they get out on the field or on the court and they're looking around, and sometimes they're not the best. And so being okay with the process and being willing to put the work in, making those daily deposits, and just understanding that anything in life, this is aside from sports, anything in life that
I love that. You're right.
You want to succeed at, it's probably going to come with a cost. When it doesn't come with a cost, sometimes it doesn't last as long and it's not as rewarding.
Easy come, easy go, right?
Yes.
And too many people want outcomes without becoming the person those outcomes require. You mentioned it's okay with not being the best right now and understanding that process. And for anyone really listening, that's the kind of mindset that can change a season, a family, and even the direction of a young athlete's future, right? That kind of mindset.
Absolutely.
Coach Mel, I appreciate your time. I'm going to ask one last question. We covered a lot of gems. You shared a lot of insight, mindset principles, your way of thinking. I want to ask you, is there anything you want to share with our listeners, our audience members that we haven't covered? It can be anything we've already covered. It could be anything related to your program, to the school, anything. Kind of open mic for you.
Yes, sir. I would say to any parents who may be listening that it's okay to allow your kids to struggle and be challenged. I think that's how we grow. I think that's how we learn. I think sometimes removing those challenges and those obstacles stunts the growth. And so I would say at a young age, in particular with basketball, spend time developing.
Love that.
Spend time in the gym working on skills and development that translate to effective success on the basketball court. I would say to players, my question would be, can you impact team success without scoring? There's a value in that. I think Draymond Green and Dennis Rodman, for me, are people that they didn't always score the basketball, but if you talk to their teammates, ask them how valuable they were.
The game without scoring. Love that.
And I think there's a place for every player that are willing to embrace that. And those who aspire to play at the collegiate level, it's even more important nowadays with the way things are, is can I get out on this court, and if I never score a basketball, will the coach leave me on the floor because I'm doing so many other things in a way that's impacting team success? Those would be the two things that I would share today.
No, thanks for sharing that, Coach Mel. I appreciate you for sharing your time, your perspective, and your leadership today. This is exactly what Built Different looks like. Family, that was a real one. Coach Mel didn't just talk about basketball today. He laid out the standard: discipline, execution, trust, accountability, integrity, leadership, sacrifice. That's details. That's the acronym. And above all, the reminder that the details matter. He made it clear that real development isn't built through shortcuts. It's built through daily choices, through standards that hold when nobody's watching, through the kind of structure that helps young athletes grow with confidence, clarity, and direction. So if you're an athlete listening, hear this. The details you keep ignoring may be the very thing holding you back. If you're a parent, remember this. Growth multiplies in the right environment. And if you're a coach, this is the reminder. Culture isn't what you say on game day. It's what you reinforce every day. Family, if this episode hit home, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with an athlete, a parent, a coach, or a family member that needs this message. Coach Mel brought the truth today. If you want to hear stronger performance, stronger habits, stronger leadership, you cannot skip the details. And in order to accomplish real development with clarity, confidence, and direction, you need exactly the right mindset training, the right systems, the right accountability, and the right plan. That's what separates people who talk about the next level from the ones who actually prepare for it. Coach Mel, I appreciate you. My brother, thank you. Thank you for your work, the standard and the impact you're making in the community. Love it. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you so much, and keep doing great work.
And this is where Athletic Connect comes in. Through tools and services like the Victory Compass, Power Hour, Mindset Mirror, Goal Sync, Fight On Mentality, Built Different Mindset, and the College Pathway Intelligence, athletes and families get more than inspiration. They get a real framework for growth, a framework that helps them gain clarity, develop elite habits, strengthen their mindset, and make smarter moves for the future. If today's episode resonated with you, don't just listen and move on, apply it. Watch and listen to the Built Different Studio Podcast on all major podcast and video platforms, including Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. And if you believe your story, your leadership, or your journey can impact the next generation, visit www.athletic.connect.com. That's with an IQ, and fill out the application to be on the show. This is bigger than content. This is about building champions in school, sport, and life. Handle today with intention. That's how champions are built. Fight on. Remember this, family. Talent might open the door, but your mindset, your habits, and your discipline decide how far you go. So keep showing up, keep building, and keep choosing the harder road, because that's the one that makes you built different. I'm Coach Randy, and this is the Built Different Studio Podcast.